What's going on, y'all? Peace and love. This is the Rich from Anywhere squad. This is the Rich from Anywhere podcast. Stevie Zenith, Plex Boogie in the building.
What up, what up, what up?
And we got the homie Demrick in the building today. Demrick, what's really good?
Man, it's good to connect with y'all brothers, man. You know, this coronavirus got us locked down, man. These podcasts and these opportunities, I get to see my homies, man. I get to see my friends, man.
Well, yo, we appreciate you jumping on, man. For those of y'all that don't know, we've been working with Demrick for the past, 6 months, helping him run up his numbers on social media and things like that with the digital marketing. But Demrick is a really, really good dude. Been in the game for a while, super duper plugged as well. And this podcast is going to be great for those of y'all that are independent artists and producers, grinding and trying to figure out how to change your life and become an independent artist full time. You know what I'm saying? Because that's Demrick to the T. Demrick's touring. He's doing all types of stuff. But we're going to get into all of that right now, man. But, yo, so first of all, I just wanted to ask you, a little bit about your background. Go into, where you're from and your background and how you came into this whole situation.
I was born in Spokane, Washington. I lived there basically. Well, I bounced all around. My mom was in the military, bounced around what I would call my home base being Washington State, Spokane specifically. And then close to the end of high school, I moved to Philly. And I was living in Philly and being on my grind there, I felt like Spokane and Washington in general didn't have the right culture that I wanted. I wanted to get in hip hop real bad, and I didn't feel like I could make it out of Spokane. It didn't feel possible because there was no other people that I seen that was really taking it to that level. So I took the leap of faith with some homies and moved to Philly and got on my grind there. And then I met Kurupt from the Dog Pound, super OG in the game, sold all kind of records, was there with Snoop through everything. Kurupt, he's on, he's just one of them ones, especially from my era that was super lyrical and well respected, and just the biggest artist I had met at the time, and he believed in me and the group, and he was that I was with at the time, and he was like, yo, move to Cali. So we packed up the bags and moved to LA and grinded, bro. But all that shit in Philly was couch surfing, struggling, odd jobs, hustling, just doing whatever to try to stay afloat while I chased my music dream. And then the same thing when I came out here to LA. And, from being around Kurupt, I was around a lot of the older West Coast people at that time. So I met Be Real. And when I met Be Real, I waited at his studio, kicked it over there for 6 months. He didn't even know I rapped. Finally got the opportunity to spit something for him. Somebody gave me the stamp of approval in the room, and I went and stepped up and rapped, and that was it. I started getting on songs with him. He took me on tour as his hype man. I started getting writing gigs, and I'd actually got a call from some people that were working at Aftermath at the time to do some writing for what the Detox was going to be back then, that album that Dre never put out. And I went to the studio, and that's where I met Xzibit. And then from there, I met Xzibit, did a song with him. He started to take me on tour with him. It's the hype man stuff. And then I just stayed down with those dudes. They shared a studio. We did a group together called Serial Killers. And then after we did that, I got an independent deal on Battle Axe Records and started pushing my own stuff. 2015 is when I dropped my first album. And as far as physical CD that came out of stores that was pushed by a small independent label, and I haven't looked back since then.
We just started this podcast already, and already he just dropped 2 massive gems, but they were kind of hidden. So I want to extract those for a second, right? The first massive gem was that, listen, he kind of knew all these people, but he was given kind of the opportunity to kind of spit, right? So yeah. A lot of people are kind of given a little slight of an opportunity or whatever, and they kind of shy away from it because they're scared or they don't want to take that leap. They don't want to take that action, all right? Demrick took the action into his own hands and he spit, okay? A lot of people are not taking the time to actually do that. So he took that action, and then that spawned off into the next part of the next gem was that he was on hype. He was like a hype man for these people. Yeah. It wasn't like he kind of came into the game and just started crushing it and he was the headliner and he was running the game. Nah, he understood his role and he did the hype man thing, and that built so many solid connections for him. And that's just a massive gem. You guys got to understand that you're not gonna always just come right into the game and be the headliner, man. Sometimes you gotta play your role.
Even fucking Tupac was a background dancer. You know what I'm saying? He used to be a background dancer for Digital Underground. So if you just look at it, and that's that, I feel like that was the benefit that I had gotten from meeting Kurupt, because he was telling me, you know, about the importance of paying dues and don't rush the process, because it's very difficult to sit around, be real, in his recording studio when you broke, you got no money, you got the ability to be there to smoke weed and play video games and kick it with the homies, but the guy who done sold 20, 30 million records in his studio that's a legendary don't even know you rap. And you gonna sit there for 6 months and not even show your hand until you get called upon. So, you know, a lot of people sliding into people DMs like, put me on. You imagine that. What would you do if you put that person around somebody that big who people want to rap for him all the time? Like, I seen Be Real turn down rappers right and left that want to spit for him, or people that's I'm the shit, come through the studio, all that stuff, all of that's happening. I'm sitting there playing 2K, just waiting for my opportunity to for the right thing to make itself to appear, bro. And I think because of that, then he was like, Demrick knows how to play his role. So, hey, what if I give him a job? Because Hype Man was a job. That was my first check in the music industry. First off, you get to travel, get your passport. Me not even having enough money to get my passport, having to get some bread from my mom to get a passport so I could go with Be Real to Europe and do a tour where I was actually going to be getting paid for the first time. You know, and realizing that you got to do what you got to do to make money in the game. And I was just looking for a foot in. I know everything I want to be, but I needed to take step number one to get there, you know, and patience and not just blowing it. You know, I could blow, you could say the wrong thing and you're out of here. You know what I'm saying? You can play yourself.
You have been chopped.
Yo, that's Demrick. That's crazy, bro, because you know, a lot of people are really eager to get their shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'm hungry. My dog can spit. My cousin can do this and that. But the fact that you were able to display such patience in a situation where all the opportunities were right there, you know what I'm saying? And also being so young at the time, because I know you were younger at the time, like, that's really incredible, dog. That's really incredible that you were able to display that patience. But I wanted to ask you, you were linked up with Be Real and stuff like that. So how did you end up actually getting into that situation of being in the studio with him?
Well, because when I was running around with Kurupt, we met Sin Dog, and you know, Cypress Hill is Be Real, Sin Dog, DJ Muggs. And so I met Sin Dog and I met his brother, Mellow Man Ace, who was crazy. Like, you know, it's crazy because he's younger than Sin Dog, but he's the first Latin rapper to go platinum. Like in '89, he dropped a song called Mentiosa. So like I said, like running around with Kurupt was like getting me privy to all these West Coast like legends and all this lineage that I didn't know about. And so I started kicking it with Mellow Man Ace because he believed in me, and he was over there with Be Real. And he was telling me, you know, when the time right, bro, I'm gonna tell Be Real that you nice, that you could do this. And he's like, you just gotta be patient. And it wasn't a month. Like I said, it was like 6 months. But having that to go to that studio every day, you know, gave me like that hope, because at that point I was looking for a glimmer of hope, because you got to remember, I packed my bags and took the leap of faith to go to Philly full time, get on my grind there to make it happen, and really struggled, and then doubled back, and the opportunity was saying come to LA, and then I did the same thing all over again. You know, so it takes a lot to risk it all, to pack your bags and bounce around to try to chase your passion and your dreams. So to even be around people that have record deals, that sold records, that especially Cypress Hill, like their impact that they've had on hip hop, like they came in and really did something special to the genre. And that's the kind of vibe that I was on. I was never the type of dude that just wanted to be like a one-hit wonder or something like that. You know, I love hip hop. I love making music. I love performing. I love rapping, writing rhymes and all this thing. I think that I identified that this was something that made me feel like I had a purpose when I didn't have that before. The streets were, and kicking it with my homies and chasing after bitches and all that stuff was what excited me before hip hop really came in, and like I found something special in that. So I knew that that's what I wanted to do, but it wasn't working out. You get what I'm saying? Like there was a long time of struggle before I got the opportunity to just rap for, for Be Real, and then that Hype Man gig, I never thought in a million years that I already knew that I was going to do stuff on record labels and stuff like that. But, my first thing that ever came out on any labels or anything was me songwriting. First tours I ever went on was me as a hype man. Like I didn't write that out. That wasn't in the plan. But as these opportunities manifest themselves, I think that that's really the opportunities that shaped me and made me be able to have a career, because I didn't say no to things that weren't necessarily in my plan, but they were the right thing to do. You just got to be like, yo, you don't really know everything that it's going to take in your journey. So you just got to kind of just go with the flow of where it leads you,
You dropping gems today, homie. Do y'all hear this? This is real motivational for y'all coming up in the game. So I just want to stick with the past real quick. And I want to ask you, what was the last 9-to-5 job that you ever had?
The last 9-to-5 job I had, I worked 2 jobs. I worked at the Gap, stacking boxes in the back in Philly, right down there in downtown, 18th and Chestnut. And then I worked on South Street on 5th and South at a spot called Dr. Denim. And that was it. That was the gigs. I was just putting tags on clothes and grabbing boxes off the truck, looking at ballers coming into Dr. Denim buying, Coogee shit at the time, buying all kind of crazy expensive shit, and not having no money, trying to just make sure that my rent was paid and that I could get food and go to the studio, get my little 5 bags of Nick bags of fucking stress from the projects in South Philly so I could smoke and get my head right. I was fucking getting Wawa sandwiches and fucking bags of chips and iced teas. And that was my diet. It was a pure struggle. And then, I got introduced to some other opportunities out there, and it made it so that I didn't have to work a 9-to-5 anymore.
The cool thing is we ask this question on every podcast, and everyone's answer is so different. People come from different walks of life. So it's cool to hear that you were working a couple jobs. I mean, me personally, I was working 2 jobs. When we moved to Atlanta to pursue this music thing, I was doing the paralegal thing, all right? And then I was also a server at a restaurant. All of this just to keep the bills paid, keep the lights on, and fund our career. So I can relate to working multiple jobs,
Yeah, I worked 2 jobs too. One was a bartender and one was raising my son. Because I'm telling you what, raising a kid is a full-time job, bro.
I know it is.
Facts.
Hey, but both of y'all had jobs where y'all got tipped out, so that's that other energy, just a little bit of bread every time that you go into your job can help keep you level and maintain and ready to go back to that motherfucker.
Getting that money every single night though, man, it's kind of dangerous because you got that money and you just like spending that shit, man. Spend it. And it's like, oh man. But like one thing I wanted to kind of ask a question too, because a lot of people like that are independent artists or like kind of coming up, man, and they're looking at like being successful, and they all think that like, man, I got to be like Drake or like Kendrick or something like that. And if I'm not that big, like I can kind of consider myself a failure. You built a really dope ass independent music career, but what do you consider like a successful music career, like from where you sit?
All right, so there's money and there's art. You know what I mean? And sometimes they collide and they go really good. Sometimes they don't. The legacy you're trying to leave behind you is in that music, is in that whatever you're going to do artistically, and you share it with your people, you build your fan base, you create your world for you to express yourself and for people that are like-minded to rock with you, And as you do that and as you get smarter with the business, you figure out how to get money, along with it. But the surefire way to feel like you made it is just to work hard, put your art out, and build your infrastructure and watch it grow. And as it grows and success happens, you'll get, depends. If you look around the room and you ask 10 artists what they're in it for, they're all gonna give you different answers. One nigga in there just to get bitches. The other nigga in there just to get famous. The other nigga want to be recognized by his peers. You know, somebody else want to go out legendary. You know, somebody else just doing it because they homie doing it. It's a way to kill time. So everybody's in it for different reasons. But I definitely, you know, you're always gonna have that battle within yourself. Like, is this gonna work? And is this? And I'm telling you, it doesn't go away. It does not fucking go away. Like, Drake is still over there trying to figure out how he can keep it going. He don't want to let it go. You know, him and his whole team, they strategizing on keeping it going. So you're always going to feel like there's different accolades. I'll give you a gem. I was there in the room when Dr. Dre was talking about he wanted to be the first artist ever to have a #1 album and get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at the same time. You know, no artists have really done that. So he was able to get that done with that Compton movie. You know, NWA got inducted in, and he got the #1 album when it dropped. He got a billion. And he been in this thing since it fucking started in the 80s. To see that in 2000, you know, whatever that was, 15 or 16 or 17, whenever that shit came out, that he had a goal set there of something that he wanted to achieve. Right. So I'm saying that to say that, like, that feeling of, have I done enough? Am I a real artist? Am I the bigger? You're always going to have goals that are always going to be set that you're looking to hit next. Like, you're never going to hit that ceiling, but you believe you're on when you believe it. If you the shit, if you the real artist, it don't matter. A number of fans, a number of money, a number of that thing, that don't make you a real artist, bro.
100%.
You're a real artist if you know you're a real artist.
I love that, bro. Because at the end of the day, like, you got to look at yourself in the mirror every single day. You know, exactly. You're the one that's actually walking in your shoes, living your life. So, you know, you have to set that expectation for yourself, whatever you can consider successful. Like, me personally, like, when I think about being a successful artist or a musician, it's just being able to sustain my business and my life and take care of my family from my music fully, right? Not having to do a bunch of other shit and having to stretch myself super thin and have to do a bunch of shit that I don't like to do. If I can just make music and just be creative and do what I want to do, and my bills and all my shit's paid, and I got a little bit of extra to do cool things, then I'm successful. Now, we've already achieved that. Now we're kind of like, we've already gotten there. And now, like you just said, your bar kind of starts to raise, right? Now it's like, all right, well, what else can I do? Shit. You know what I mean?
I know you've kind of been around Dr. Dre and been kind of rocking with Xzibit and individuals like that. But what is it like being in the lab with Dre or an Xzibit? What's that energy like, bro? Because a lot of people, to them, that's kind of like the mountaintop, right? Like, you in the studio with Dre, you made it. And you also talked about you wrote on the Detox album that never got released. But what's it like working with Dre, man? If you could just kind of shed some light on that.
From what I've seen and what I participated in, it's just like, you know, he has a vision, and you know, Dre is a very picky, very meticulous about what he wants. So you got to bring your A game. Same thing with Xzibit. You know, I've got 100+ songs with Xzibit, you know, albums with him and all kind of stuff like that. And I just know he doesn't play in the studio, and you got to bring that good energy, and you got to be on your game. You got to believe in yourself, number one. If you go in there wondering if you could get it off, you're probably not going to be able to get it off, and people are going to be able to detect that. And, you know, so like, that self-confidence and that inner energy is what's going to make you win in those situations. I'm just saying, like, the #1 step is just to be prepared. That's the only advice for getting in these bigger sessions and in these rooms is don't fuck up the energy and be ready.
Absolutely, bro. Being prepared is everything, man. Because if you're not prepared, then you get in that situation, you can't take advantage of it. And at that point, it don't really matter how hard you try. You got to catch that momentum first. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Obviously, like the pen, you know, your actual skill sets, but also your social media presence, right? And making sure that your buzz is popping before a huge opportunity happens. That's really the key. You know what I mean? Like, if you wait for like an opportunity to hit you, to start getting some momentum, bro, you're gonna struggle for a long time. So anybody who's kind of like listening to this right now, even if you haven't seen that huge opportunity or that huge wave of success yet, that doesn't mean that you should just be sitting around like waiting for it, bro. Like start getting momentum now. You know what I'm saying? So that way, whenever that wave does hit you, boom, you can ride that bitch to the beach.
There's too much information now. You got to think about, like, when I'm telling some of the story about how I started, like, there wasn't any like social medias and shit like that. You get what I mean? Like, that's how long it was when I started this shit. Like, now niggas got the real advantage. Like, you don't need any cosign, you don't need nothing. The information is there. You Google what a record label consists of, and you know, you see there's an art department, you see that there's a creative, and you see there's a marketing department. So obviously, if you want to be an artist, you got to think that all of those things got to come together to be in your recipe for success. And now that people know that, and there's ways that you could market now without the huge, crazy budget or the things, you could get your marketing started now and watch it grow and build up till you start making some money. And like, when I started out, bro, it was like, find a way to get into a studio to make a demo, to try to get somebody to say that you were good and to give you an opportunity so that you could be marketed, promoted, and things of that nature. Now, all you need to do is create social media, get with a company like you guys, know your vision, create your art, and be fearless. Be ready to go out there and put in that work for what you believe in. And the thing is, that's the difference, and that's the advantage. You don't gotta wait till you get in the room with Xzibit or get in the room with Dre or get in the room with Be Real or whoever else. You know, you can start your path to your successful music career today. And that's the realest shit ever. I didn't get signed to a major label. You know, I always dealt with indie labels, and I done releases on my own where companies would give me an advance, and I would have to go hire different companies or bust moves or shoot my own videos or do everything. So I learned that. I'm very thankful that that actually happened in my life, that I was an artist during this time frame that grew before I seen what happened to now. So if you fucking 16 now and you want to do this shit, like, the sky is the fucking limit, bruh. You can make the song on your laptop, nigga. Your homeboy can do the artwork. You can edit the music video and the same shit, upload it to your YouTube, put some marketing dollars behind it. And if people fuck with it, bam, your life is fucking changed.
But you got to do the marketing side. And I try to tell people all the side, one of the biggest things that artists, I think personally, what they struggle with is that they spend all this damn time and money and energy making the music, and you should. But then when the music is made and it's time to market it, it's like there's this thing that doesn't click in their brain, and they're just like, I'm just going to just post it up one time, and then if it doesn't go viral, fuck it. I'm just going to go back to the studio and keep making another song. But it's like,
I made the same mistake, bro. And I'm sure we all have before. We know a lot of people know that, because music business, the two words, the music and the business, and you got to research it. And like I said, you can just Google what makes a record label, and you could see that motherfucking marketing department is right there. So if you think that you are going to be a successful artist without doing any of the marketing or tapping into that marketing, then you know that you basically go into a gunfight with some knives and some fucking, you know, some swords. Like, you might get to slash off and get the win and you know, get to the next stop, but you know, that dude with that gun probably gonna get the best of you. You know what I'm saying? Just to put it all the way in perspective, like, these people ain't playing. Like, these artists that's out here, these record labels, these execs, these managers, they try to feed their families. They try to feed their dreams, their aspirations. They want to have success. They do not care about your success. So they are doing whatever they want to do, whatever they need to do to make sure that their art gets out there and that their artist is doing good. So you got to go to the battlefield with the same mentality.
You're in like in a unique kind of like situation, because you come from the era of, you know, traditional marketing, guerrilla marketing, selling CDs out your trunk. That was like the only way to really get it type shit. And now you've kind of transitioned into this new era. So like, you transitioning through that, how has digital marketing like helped you grow your career like as of like lately?
It's been amazing. Just I think social media and marketing and the ability to connect with fans and gain my confidence that way and realize that I was building up a tribe. And then, you know, you start seeing from the fans that do come in, you kind of get an idea what your fans are like. And then you want to go out there and market to more people like that so that you could bring more people in, because the whole thing is, like you were saying earlier, the first step that people want to do is get rid of the 9 to 5, get rid of that so that they can focus completely on the music. And you don't need a big record contract to do that. You just need a loyal fan base and you need some creativity. This shit ain't no different than any other fucking hustle that exists, except you're doing it with art. And the whole thing is like, somebody could say, hey man, I got these shoes, they cost $50. And boom, here's these shoes, they cost $350. There's gonna be a market for both those things. It's just, what do you want to be? You know, you create your art, you put your price on it, yes. And you stick to your guns, man, and run it up.
I do want to get into some of your entrepreneurial business ventures right now, man, because I know you have a marijuana company, right? A cannabis company that you've been pushing. Can you talk about that and actually how you got into that? And as an independent artist, why it's important to have these multiple streams of revenue coming in?
You know, as far as marijuana, it's been a part of my life my whole way through, whether it's, man, smoking it or, you know, other dealings with it. You know, I always been involved in it on some kind of level. And as I grew older, I got more into it. But, you know, being down with Cypress and Cypress Hill and being around the smoke community, that culture really gave me an in to meet a lot of growers, all that stuff. A lot of the music I was making, you know, was catering to that community. And I was getting on all the High Times Cannabis Cups. I was getting on all the big smoke festivals because there was like a renaissance happening as far as the marijuana community was concerned. Like finally, you know, we weren't getting sweated by the police, especially out here in Cali, things like that. You could throw events where people could smoke, where vendors could sell and all that things that they needed entertainment. So I fit right into that. So that was my first in. Started meeting growers, and just through smoking, it was like I got approached to curate my own strain. You know, me and DJ Hoppa dropped albums called Stony Point, and they were received really well in that community. And people were like, "Hey, we want you to curate a strain and put it out there and represent it." So, you know, we teamed up with a company called Kushco to make our Stony Point. And that's the first strain, and that sells. Right now, it's in dispensaries all over Las Vegas and all over Nevada in general. And that was the first thing. You know, the second thing was the Demrick Gas Lotto, you know, for down here in LA, you know, because each one of these companies, they can only operate in a certain amount of states or states that they have licenses in and things like that. So it's like I have one here that I'm doing, you know, we're developing now a second strain that we're going to do with Gasco down here. So, you know, for me, it was a natural transition just because Be Real owns Dr. Green Thumb dispensaries and all kinds of strains. Burner got cookies. You know, I done a lot of work with Burner, a lot of songs with him, tours with him, things like that. You know, I seen the way that these dudes were moving. Xzibit had Brass Knuckles, one of the most successful wax pens, you know, out of California, as far as like crazy amount of sales and things like that. So it was natural. But anything, bro, like putting some money that you made into the stock market and playing the stock, that's the whole thing where I say that your art in the music and money, your art and your money, they here, you know, you cross pollinate sometimes, but they still gonna be like, it's the same way with getting enough money to buy a property, getting enough money to do. Now you're a property owner, you're an investor, and you know, you see your homie, you want to start a clothing line, you throw up some money, now you an angel investor, you know, you got a percentage or something and all that stuff. And just seeing that's a natural progression. These are things we can't think about when you sleeping on the fucking couch, just trying to figure out how you gonna get a meal later. As your bread starts growing and different things like that, you're gonna think about diversifying and what else you could do to secure your future. You know, you just can't smoke blunts and drink Henny with your homies forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, that's 100, dog. And you know, I think the dope thing is that I'm seeing a lot more, especially for the OGs and some of the older artists. They're getting a lot more into diversifying their portfolio and jumping into different streams of income. But one thing that I wanted to ask you, and I was kind of curious about this, you as an independent artist, we consider you being successful as an independent artist. You're touring the world, your streaming numbers are crazy. You know what I'm saying? You got this business, marijuana business. You have all these things going on. Talk to the independent artists that are listening right now and let us know what's your biggest form of revenue currently right now?
As far as on the music side, it's definitely touring, you know, and that's what's so unfortunate with the pandemic. You know, it's like people get taught the game different ways, and then there's no path is the right way for anybody. The way that I was taught was, like I said, the first check I ever got was from going out there and being a hype man. So I was getting a certain amount of money every night. And if I went out there and did 30 shows and came back, I was chilling. And then if I went out and did it again 2 months later and came back, I was good. And that's what I was doing. I was doing it for Xzibit and Be Real. So I was going out to Europe with Be Real, and I would go to Australia with Xzibit, and I would go to Canada with Xzibit, and I would go to fucking Australia with Be Real. You know, and it was this thing. So I learned early that the road was a place to get paid, because they were getting paid a big amount to go do the show. I was getting paid as a worker, and I would see, you know, the different revenues from selling the merch out there at the shows to, you know, the meet and greets and the after parties. And so I was like trained to go get the bag on the road. So I just got as soon as I got to the level where I could make even just $500 a show, it was over. Because if I could put 30 $500 shows together, that's 15 grand. And if I could go sell another go sell another $200 of merch every night, then you add that up, then that's whatever, that's 15, that's another 6 grand. So then that's 21,000 minus your expenses to travel. Now, if you meet some people along the way that want to do features with you, now you're doing $500, $750, $1,000 features with people. You knock 5 of those, you put it all in. It's a recipe to getting you to be able to stay afloat. If you mix that in with some streaming bread, and you mix that in with selling some merch from your online store, and you got a fucking music career.
Probably for most artists out there, touring is probably the biggest stream of revenue that an artist is going to get, because you can really go out there and get bags. I want to touch on that, because being an independent artist, you might think like, yo, I can't go on no tour. I can't do this. But I promise you, you can. You can literally throw events in your own city, because we've done it as independent artists that aren't super huge. We've sold out an event in Atlanta by just running ads, by running Facebook and Instagram ads. We were able to sell out an event. We have students that have actually ran ads to a particular city saying that they were coming to the city to perform, sold tickets, created an Eventbrite, actually sold tickets to this event without even having a venue booked. Once they had the number of ticket sales that they needed, they went to the venue like, look, I'm trying to throw this event. I'm talking to you to let you know I've sold 100 tickets here. Can we throw this event at your venue? And then it's like, yes. And the dude, he's actually our student. He lives in New York, and he sold out an event in Mexico City, all from running Facebook and Instagram ads. So that's
hard.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. And that's from Facebook and Instagram ads. So those y'all independent artists that might not have all the relationships to go on a nationwide or worldwide tour, you can run it up with Facebook ads if you know what you're doing. So it's really important to really grasp the skill set, y'all, because you can do a lot with it.
That's crazy, man. Like that's like cutting out so much risk when you think about it, man. It's cutting out so much risk, because you're going out, running the ads, booking getting the tickets and getting the money first. And then you're like, all right, that's already done. Let me go ahead and actually put this event together. Like that's some like new age shit that a lot of people are doing. We've actually done it even with our own like marketing. Like we do masterminds and stuff where we basically we'll rent out big ass mansions, and basically invite people from all over the country to come in and hang out with us for like 3 or 4 days. And we'll just talk marketing and help people like run their businesses and stuff like that. And we did one last year, and we basically ran ads, and we basically filled up 6 rooms. We got 6 tickets booked, and these are like higher ticket kind of like things, right? So we ended up selling all the tickets, and then we went and found the mansion and booked it after we already had the money.
Hey man, I seen what what the ads did, for the last little, before this whole thing happened. And I think I did 5 shows in February that you guys did the ads for. It definitely makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. You can see more of the fans that are going to show up before they get there. It's a difference of people just walking up and buying tickets at the door. If you could get to them early, if you could promote to them early, promote that they buy online, you could see more of your numbers faster and sooner. And it kind of gave me a better gauge to know what these shows were going to be like. So I think it's definitely a good tool. And just even promoting your music in general, like these ads are priced, these marketing is priceless. It's priceless, and it has to happen. It has to happen. You have got to do it, because that's the way the music business is ran. There's the art, and then there's the marketing, and you're really reaching. And if you're not doing it all,
that's what, y'all heard it, man. Y'all heard it from somebody who's really in the streets, really in these clubs, performing, really in the game for real, doing this shit. If you know it, bro, like I know that it's real. But touring is actually it's been a big part of my life too. Like I actually was a tour manager for an EDM artist for about 2 years, 2.5 years or so. And so we traveled around the whole entire world, man. Brazil and Kazakhstan and Russia. And we went all fucking crazy places, right? And I definitely noticed a big difference like in the EDM realm, but you're like touring all over the world in the hip hop realm. Like for you, is there a difference of when you're touring in the States and touring overseas? Is there like a different feel when you're touring?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely Europe, and you go to different places like that in Europe. And I've been Kazakhstan, I've been all over Russia, I've been crazy places. Oh my God. The thing is, over in Europe and different places, Australia and things like that, there's not as many rappers. It's when you go to some of these different countries, you go to different places, there's a little more appreciation for the culture that you're bringing through. But it would be like that anywhere. It's the same way like where I'm tripping out, where it's like, oh, I'm going to Japan for the first time. I want to see everything in Japan. I want to know everything from the food to the fashion to, even you just trip out on the small things, like what kind of insects and bugs and shit out there, like some whole different shit. You go to Australia, get bit by something and not come home. And it's real. But you know what I'm saying? They are looking at the American culture and the hip hop and the urban element too is something that they appreciate a little more. So I feel like, always taking it outside of the country is good, But if you pop it in the States, don't think that the States isn't a great place to go and perform and do shows too. I love doing shows in the States. They're just a little different, But when I started touring with Dizzy, and I started touring with, all these different artists, even Little Debbie and the Strange Music dudes that I tour with, and all the different tours that I've done here on the States. Me and Hoppa, we done our own solo tours here in the States, things like that, man. I love going to places like Albuquerque, New Mexico. I love going to Denver. I love going to New York. Like I was able to go do a show in New York, and just dope spots that I was able to see and get crowds out there and spread my music. So I seen every level of this shit, bro. I done touched stages in front of 80,000, and I done touched stages in front of 8. So, what I mean? I done seen it.
So like what, to this day, is there one crowd that you would say like that was your biggest crowd you ever rocked? What's the biggest crowd you ever rocked?
Yeah, the biggest crowd I ever rocked was with Cypress Hill, 80,000 people in Germany for this tour that Cypress Hill went on in 2010 for the Rise Up album. And, they were out there, they were festival season. So many different festivals. Like one of the festival lineups was fucking It was Slash from Guns N' Roses, Cypress Hill, Jay-Z, Kiss was the headline.
Damn, dog. You know that was a fucking festival, dog.
That's
fucking
wild, dog.
crazy, you know. So I've done shows like that and got to touch stages where I feel like lifted, like you know how you get like nervous before you go do something, like you almost feel like it's like out of body. But I'll tell you guys a secret, you know, a little gem. The bigger the crowd, the bigger the stage, the easier it is to do. It's harder to perform in front of 8 people where you're rapping every word and they're staring at you dead in your face.
Hell yeah.
And if you make a mistake, every one of them catch it. You know, when there's 80,000 people and you on a big stage and you elevated and on the big jumbotron screens and all that stuff, like they never gonna know you make a mistake, bro. Unless you got to make a big fuck up. You know, you got to be, stop the music, stop the music, stop the music. I can't believe I did. That's the only way they would ever know if you made a mistake.
If you made a mistake. I think the biggest performance we had was probably in front of like 8,000 or something like that. But back in college, I performed at my university, and I had a feature, one of these dudes I was rocking with in the city. And I mean, the crowd was probably like 2,000-3,000 people or whatever. And I was like, yo, you ready to go on stage? Because it was his turn to come up and do the feature. And literally, dog, this nigga forgot his lyrics, like all of them, like the whole verse, the whole verse literally froze up. So I'm sitting here having to like rap his verse, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get him back into the groove. And then he finally caught the wave, and then he was flowing the rest of the time. So I wanted to ask you, have you ever forgotten your lyrics on stage, dog? Like, has that ever happened?
Hell yeah. Multiple times. It depends, man. It depends on the vibe, the energy, how much, you know, Hennessy was involved and all of that. So in February and in the right up till March 1st, I did 9 shows. So I did those 5. Then I did 4 with Burner. And one of those shows, I was going into what I thought was the verse of that song, and I was so stoned, I literally kicked the verse to a whole different song over that thing. And I didn't even realize it till I watched the video, you know. I seen the video afterwards, and I seen that I was kicking the verse from a completely different song. And I seen a couple fans like, kind of had that weird look on their face, like, what's he doing? And then they realized what song that was, and they went right into that remix, baby, on the spot. You know,
did you have any like backing vocals or anything behind you?
You know, I'm one of them artists that you know, I was taught to not have your background vocals on your verses. And I've really seen that work to my benefit. You know, I also came up in the cypher. I've had to rap for Kurupt. I've had to rap for Dr. Dre. I've had to battle somebody in front of Dre. I've toured with Xzibit, Be Real, Serial Killers, right next to them. Their faces and my face, and us performing together. And they ain't got no background vocals. And you gotta be swift on your feet and ready, and you gotta show up, be prepared to rap. And that's what I was taught. And so I just always put that into my live show. And I truly think that works to my benefit. You know, it'd be easier to catch a mistake if the real vocals were there and you fucked up and you're trying to like jumble back on it. But I don't know. I find power in the kind of rapper that I am to not have my vocals there, so that I could really get into whatever vibe is being created at that concert.
Right. You can control your vocal tone and your energy and all that kind of shit. I feel you on that, bro. Like touring with so many different types of people, like so many like huge artists and going all these different things. Like I'm just kind of curious myself. Like, you know, all these artists have riders and shit like that, you know, before they come up. Like, have you ever seen, like, what's the weirdest fucking thing that you've ever seen somebody put on their rider? Or have you seen anything crazy?
I haven't seen nothing super crazy. You know, we all hear about the blue M&Ms and all this shit like this. One time we were in I think we were in like Tupelo, Georgia, which is somewhere right outside of Russia. And they never really had any American artists. They had just first started bringing in artists in. So Xzibit was doing a show. I was doing the hype man thing. We show up. They want to do a press conference on the news about the show that's coming up. So Xzibit is sitting there. There's reporters asking questions, and this reporter says, "Xzibit, why is it that you love fried chicken so much?"
Oh, hell no.
And of course, Xzibit's natural reaction, "Excuse me? Like, what are you asking me?" And she's like, "We see on your rider you have fried chicken. Is it because you love it so much?"
Mm.
And Xzibit's like, looks stunned, and he's like, "You know, if you're asking if I love fried chicken, the answer is yes, but it's not on my rider. It never has been." And she looks down, and somebody points over, and he's like, "Oh, we see that is on Jim Jones's rider. Oh, we're sorry, we moved on."
Yo, so jumping back into the music real quick, man. Now, we only got a couple more questions left, but I do want to get into this project that you dropping with Dizzy, all right?
Yeah.
So what can the fans expect out of this new project, Smoke With Us Too? What can they expect? Blaze With Us Too.
It's called, Blaze With Us Too, yeah. Well, we dropped the first one 3.5 years ago, and me and Diz just threw it out there. It's something that we started recording when I caught like a wave right there, man. Like Diz was like, "Yo, bro, you want to come, you want to come out on a tour, growing process. It pays this much. You can hop on the tour bus with me. It's 30 something shows, and you could go on right before me." And I was like, "Tell me when. And I'm showing up with my bags. Let's go." And we were out there on that tour. Me and Diz, that tour had a good amount of off days. And so we made it a little thing, like where we would rent studios. And that was the thing about investing in my career right there, because, the studios ain't cheap. Them studios and wherever get your off day at, they could be $1,000 for a 10-hour session. And me and Diz would just split it up. And that gave a spot for all of us who were on the tour to be able to go into a studio, kick it, not have to sit on the bus, not sit in the hotel room. Gave us opportunity to get creative. We had DJ Hoppa out there making beats, so it was just a good time to be in the studio. And we stayed locked in, and we made a lot of that Blaze With Us album on the road, the first one. And, we put it out, and it did really well. And the Still Moving stuff started happening. Me and Diz started dropping a bunch of other music together. And so now it seemed like the right time to come back and give, the world another Blaze With Us project, So it's like, there's lyrics on there, thought-provoking stuff, it's definitely marijuana undertone, and some songs is overtone, but there's definitely a lot of gems on that project, and it's an elevated version of the first one. We became better artists. We became more seasoned. We know more. We've experienced more. We know, even just rap together wise. There's a lot. Me and Diz just have done so many songs together now. It's like there's a lot of back and forth on that album, where he'll do some bars and I'll do some bars, and it was a big family affair. And I just think that is going to translate very well to the listener when they get it. Having fun with it. We just dropped a single called All Night, which is like, basically it's a themed record about like waiting for the weed man all night. You know what I'm saying? Like, who ain't been through that? And weed man say you're gonna be there in 20 minutes, and 2 hours later you're looking at your phone. You know what I'm saying? So it's like just trying to have fun with it and give relatable stuff to the world, because I think that that's what they need.
Speaking of Blaze With Us, man, what type of dude are you, man? You a sativa, indica, or hybrid dude?
Let me show you this, my guy. You see?
What we got,
It's a little
dog?
different when you got your name on the bag.
Demrick Gas Lotto. Okay.
But you
And
know,
what
that's
strand is
the
that right there? I mean, what is that? Is that it? What is
that
your?
is that's a cross between their OG and the what is that cross with their, they have something called Tropiculato. So it's all from the gelato family, you know.
Wow,
And
delicious.
they're basically hybrids. You know, most weed nowadays is a hybrid, you know, and it's hard to find. You can find the OG sativas, and you can find obviously the OG, you know,
Mm-hmm.
indica, which is just basically, like I said, just hard hitting OGs. But you know, all the Jack Herrera and the different things, the sativas, you know, everybody blended all those, the cookies and everything's all blended up these days. And that's why you have those unique flavors and those great smells and the taste and the, you know, the head high. But I originally grew up loving OG. You know, San Fernando Valley, SFV OG was what I wanted. That's all that Cypress Hill was just smoking, was straight OGs, straight indica, straight hard hitting. Let's get as high as we fucking can. You know what I mean? So like that was it. But my particular, you know, now there's so many flavors and so much good stuff out there. I enjoy the hybrids the best.
Well, yo, we definitely appreciate your time today, man, for sure. We like to do this little game. It's called Sign, Collab, or Drop. So we're putting you in the position of a record label owner, all right? So we got 3 artists for you right now, okay?
Okay.
So you would sign one, you would collab with one, and you would drop one, all right? So here we go. Here are the artists, all right? So we got Wiz Khalifa, we got Devin the Dude, and we got the homie Snoop Dogg. What you doing?
I couldn't drop any. Three, and they couldn't drop anyone. I would sign Wiz if I can, because you know he gonna be making that bread. I want to collab. I've done a collab with Snoop. So
it's just theoretical.
I'd sign Snoop, and I got a collab with Wiz, and I'll let you leave that up there. I can't physically say it. I can't say it. I won't say it. But yeah,
nah, it's all good, man. It's just a theoretical thing.
Shout out
man.
Devin the Dude, you a fucking legend. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. Now we always put you in a lose-lose situation with that question.
Put me in that tight spot. Devin the Dude might walk up to me at a show one time. We had a 420 thing, and his homeboy that gave him the clip. And it was like, "Oh, you was gonna drop me, huh?
You gonna drop me, huh?
Okay, young whippersnapper, you gonna drop me, huh?"
Well, yo, we appreciate your time, dog. Appreciate you taking some time out your day to jump in with us. So yeah, go ahead and drop all your social media. Let everyone know when Blaze With Us 2 is dropping and where they could check you out when this whole pandemic ends, where you're going to be touring and all of that.
Blaze With Us 2 drops June 5th. We just announced, so I'm excited for that. Lots of content on the way. You can always go to Demrick420.com to check out where I'm going to be, show dates, merch, latest releases, and at I am Demrick, IAMDEMRICK on Instagram, on Twitter, Demrick on Facebook. Yeah, I'm saying I'll be online, man. Holla at your boy, man. I'll be right there.
Hell yeah. We appreciate you, dog. And you drop some serious gems. And everybody that's watching and listening, man, honestly, you might want to go back and watch this and listen again, because I guarantee you there's a lot of shit that you missed, because I sure as hell learned a lot today, man. So I appreciate you, bro, for sure.
Likewise, man. I'm happy to be working with you guys, man. I'll tell everybody out there, get it, take it from me. Work with these fellas, build with them. They gonna get your music out there. They gonna help guide you through the stuff, and they gonna put you on game. You know, we don't know everything. Not every person knows everything. So these people are studying. These fellas right here are studying the game on marketing, promotion, and tap in with them, because you want them on your side.
Boom. Y'all heard it. Click that link below.
Cool, brother. Well, yo, we appreciate it. This has been the RFA podcast. Until next time, the boys is out. Peace and love.